This is Shelley Craft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're coming to you today from the Dawson James Securities 4th Annual Small Cap Growth Conference 2018 in Jupiter, Florida. I have with me today Bill Stilley from Adial Pharmaceuticals, ADIL, a publicly traded company on NASDAQ. Welcome to SNNLive.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Shelley.
It's good to have you. Let's get started with a brief overview of the company, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sounds great. So Adial Pharmaceuticals is a publicly traded biotech company focused on developing medicines for addictions. Our lead drug is a genetically targeted drug for alcohol use disorder, one of the absolutely largest disease states in the world.
Now, what's some history behind the development of the drug?
Well, so the idea of using a serotonin 3 blocker, which is what our lead drug is, has been around for decades. But it wasn't until the genome became unlocked that Dr. Johnson, our inventor, went on a mission to determine some of the genetics that might determine how patients would respond to a serotonin 3 blocker.
What's the competitive advantage of what you have?
So if you think about the treatments that are out there today, in my mind they can only be characterized by one word, and that word is extreme. So some of the more common treatments really go to a self-help group, have a dramatic life makeover, give up friends, sometimes give up family. It's a pretty difficult thing for most people to take, and a significant number of people that try are unsuccessful. If you're willing to try one of the pharmacologic agents, you have one that will make you violently ill if you drink while you're taking the drug. You have another where you have to go in every 30 days for an injection. It's particularly painful. It has side effects. So what we have is a drug that is very safe and tolerable based on clinical data to date, helps them reduce their craving for alcohol so they can reduce their drinking, and if they and their doctor think that abstinence is the way to go, can help them be abstinent, we believe. And I think the genetic test is very important because it really helps identify the patients in whom it's going to work, and it's also important because it really makes it easy for the patient to step forward. They have a genetic marker. This drug would be expected to help them reduce their drinking.
Is that passed down from generation to generation?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you have a genetic component, it's going to be hereditary, and it's been known for decades that people that have alcohol problems in their family are much more likely to have an alcohol problem, and it really hasn't been until recently that some of this has been able to be teased out.
What's the competitive landscape you're dealing in?
Well, it's really, like I said, some treatments that are fairly difficult to tolerate for the most part, and there's a drug that's called Vivitrol, which is an injectable, which does have an effect, does help people, and we were really excited that that drug is doing what it's doing for those, but it is a 30-day injectable. It's very painful. It has side effects, and so we think there's a place for various drugs, and the market is absolutely amazing as far as the size of it. So that's what we really are dealing with, is trying to work together to help the population.
Bill, what's your target market?
Well, so our target market is alcohol use disorder and patients that have that problem. And sometimes that's been called in the past alcoholism, and I really don't like that term because it has connotations that aren't necessarily positive. So alcohol use disorder are patients that have an addiction to alcohol, that alcohol is probably negatively affecting their life. And if you think about the size of this market, the NIAAA, the CDC, they estimated 35 million people in the United States alone. And if you really think about the dramatic problems that alcohol causes in our society, how many indications or diseases do you know that the American Constitution has actually been amended to try to take care of it, right? So this is that big of a problem. And then, look, just a few weeks ago, The Lancet came out with an article that said that alcohol is the #1 killer of people ages 15 to 49 in both the world and in the United States. The American Oncology Association says that 5 to 6% of cancers are caused by alcohol. 200 diseases are caused by alcohol, $250 billion of damage to the U.S. economy. I mean, this is just a huge problem, and it needs more solutions that are effective.
What's your background?
So my background, first of all, I started off out of college going into the Marine Corps. After that, business school, and then into entrepreneurship. Along the way, I got recruited to be the CFO of a biotech company, and kind of the rest is history. I've been in pharmaceuticals now, coming up on a couple of decades. My last position, though, which is interesting for this company, I think, I was the Vice President of Business Development at a public company called Clinical Data. found this asset, wanted to acquire it. It was on track to do that, and then we decided to sell clinical data. And so we worked on that deal. That transaction went down. It was a $1.2 billion sale to Forest Laboratories. And as that deal was in the works, I stepped out and co-founded Adial Pharmaceuticals to take this forward.
Now, from what you can tell me as a public company, what are some growth drivers?
Well, I'd say, right now we have this main drug, which is a handful in itself, a massive potential product in itself, and we are really focused on doing that. And so drivers of value are going to be getting that trial going. We're planning on running it in Scandinavia and Eastern Europe first, purely because of recruitment and cost reasons. We will go for an approval in the United States first, most likely, and that trial will be the biggest value driver. But along the way, we have a number of other activities to undertake as far as getting that going, and then potential grants, potential partnerships.
Bill, let's get your website out for more information, please.
Okay, the website for Adial Pharmaceuticals is www.adilpharma.com. That's ADIAL Pharma, PHARMA.com, and the ticker symbol is ADIL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Stilley, Adial Pharmaceuticals, publicly traded company on NASDAQ, and the symbol is ADIL. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you from the Dawson James Securities 4th Annual Small Cap Growth Conference 2018 here in Jupiter, Florida. Bill, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Shelley.
My pleasure.